Hey, so Ray Rican. One of the things I complain about a lot when I do these videos is the media, and basically how dishonest the media is because they play like they're objective when they're biased. And here's a good here's a tweet from Michael Malice that I want to show you. He's That's how I saw this because I don't follow Oliver Darcy. I follow him, Michael Malice, but it's not a conspiracy theory if we admit to it. And it's kind of like that article that was like how they fortified the election, the Time article. But here we go. Some news and reliable sources, their stuff. Senior White House and administration officials have been holding briefings with major newsrooms over past week as they try to reshape economic coverage. So here was what it says. The White House, not happy with the news coverage of the supply chain and economy, has been working behind the scenes trying to reshape coverage in its favor. Senior White House and administration officials, including NEC Deputy Director David Kamen and Bharat Ramaruti, along with Ports Envoy John Pocari, have been briefing newsrooms over the past week, a source tells me. The officials have been discussing with newsrooms trends pertaining to job creation, economic growth, supply chains, and more. The basic argument has been made that the country's economy is in much better shape than it was last year. I'm told conversations have been productive with anchors, reporters, and producers getting to talk with officials. If they're meeting with the officials, right, on how to spin coverage, is that news, or is that just you being the press brief for the White House, for the administration? You're holding water for the administration if you want to spin the numbers for them. But if the media was honest, let's say, for example, I understand the Democrat Party and their supporters will talk about, oh, it's been a record job creation by President Biden this year. And it's like, if they were honest, they would tell you, but that's because we had an artificial lockdown last year. So technically, with the lockdown, everybody was considered unemployed. So if you're going to if you want to honestly compare numbers, you have to go to the year before COVID, before the lockdowns, and see how the economy is. You can't compare a lockdown and go, okay, this is what they like to do. They like to go, let's do all 4 years of Trump and go, oh, look, he had negative job growth. Bullshit. Pre-COVID, even Jim Cramer on MSN, CNBC, I think he's on, talking about that the jobs and the economy was the best he's ever seen, and that was pre-COVID. That was 2019. But that's what they're doing here. They're trying to spin numbers instead of going. They're not being honest. They're just trying to spin it for Biden, which I get it. I totally get it. You guys are for Biden. Just admit it. That's it. That's all I ask. If you're going to spew your propaganda on behalf of the Democrats, just admit it. That's it, because that's the problem. That's one of the things that's tearing this country apart. They'll complain about Fox News, but here's a report saying that they're talking to the media, trying to spin the coverage. And here's the irony behind this, because you have here's a Mediaite story, and this guy goes, Dana Milbank on CNN, equally negative media coverage of Biden and Trump, an indictment of the whole industry. Okay. The media was negative on Trump post-election. Once he won, from that point on, they were never positive about him. The only time they were positive was when he bombed Syria. That's it. That was the only time they loved him, because the media loves when presidents do that. Okay, that's about it. Other than that, it was a constant fight for President Trump for 4 years. And Biden's getting a little bit of negative coverage after Afghanistan, and they're complaining that it's, complaining about some of the negative coverage he's getting. The jobs numbers are horrible. The economy, it's funny when Trump was always bragging about the stock market, they're like, oh, that has nothing to do with him. But now, oh yeah, okay, stock market's up again. Oh yeah, no, now it has to do with the president. Get out of here, come on. But then this person has the nerve to say that the negative coverage, here it goes. Milbank goes on to explain that Biden's coverage was more favorable than that of Trump at the beginning of his presidency. No shit. But it took a major turn after the pullout from Afghanistan, because there was no way to spin Afghanistan. That's why. There's no real way to spin it. August was the turning point. Biden's coverage was more favorable than Trump's before then. There was that honeymoon. Even as things have generally improved since then, the coverage has not improved. That's the whole thing. Things are not have not improved. But this person wants to say it's not. He continues, it's not biased, the actual words we're using. No, we are as negative as a collective media on Joe Biden, if not more so than we were to Donald Trump at a time when he was trying to there goes your bias right there. Look at that. As he was trying to overthrow democracy. Guy, you were, okay, let's go before election. You guys were against him from day one, admitting that the coverage was more negative in the beginning. But here's the difference. It stood like that for all the time he was president. Biden has one blip and they're bitching about it. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, there you go. If not more so than we were when Trump, at a time when he was trying to overthrow democracy. Oh, God, you guys were never positive with him. But that's the whole problem. I spoke about this yesterday, about the right wing builds its own echo chamber, but that's the whole thing. When you see stories like this, that's their echo chamber. The left has their echo chamber. The people on the right, such as myself, that we lean right, we read all of these left-wing articles. We read CNN, we reading Mediaite, we read ABC, NBC. We have to. Okay? We don't just watch Fox News, but ask someone on the left, do you watch Fox News? Do you watch Newsmax? Do you read Breitbart? Do you read Daily Wire? No, of course not. I don't do that. I remember I've told the story about the lady. There was a Puerto Rican lady I was chatting with. We had a nice conversation until she started bringing up politics, and she was talking about. Oh, I only listen to the truth. I only watch MSNBC and CNN. And I'm like, well, that explains why. That explains a lot. I told her, if you don't watch Fox News to even out your news, the digestion of your news, then it's no wonder that you. And when I told her that, oh no, I just read, I just listen to the truth. And it's like, no, you just listen to your echo chamber. That's it. But you have some, but people on the left, it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon that people on the left do not consume right-wing media. So I was looking for the article that I'm always talking about, but I can't find it. I'm mad because it talked about, and one of these days I'm going to find it and save it. But it basically spoke about how the media consumption works when it comes to people who lean on the left and people who lean on the right. And basically, it's like, let's say people on the left, 80% of 80 to 90% of their news coverage or is it 85? I think it was 85 to 95% of their news coverage is all left-wing news. It's like 5%, 10% right-leaning. When it comes to conservatives and right-leaning individuals, they consume, what was it, 65 to 75% of their news from right-wing sources, and 30 to 25% of their news from left-wing sources, something like that. It was ridiculously different. So it's like when they talk about echo chambers, they're ones to talk because they do not get out. They don't, ask someone who's super uber, liberal or, a leftist, ask them if they watch Fox News. Ask them if they've ever read the Daily Wire. They guarantee you no. I saw this clip with James O'Keefe, and there were people out there protesting him, protesting Project Veritas. Didn't know who James O'Keefe was. How do you protest Project Veritas and not know who James O'Keefe is? That means these people are mindlessly protesting Project Veritas without knowing who their CEO is, James O'Keefe. That just shows you they just mindlessly go out there. It's like, oh, Project Veritas is bad, so I got to go out there and protest them, but I have no idea who James O'Keefe is. Come on. That's like me protesting a George Soros group and going out, and then, they ask me questions about George Soros and I don't know who the hell he is. I see him and I wouldn't know who he is. That's ridiculous. Okay. But that's what goes on. That's what passes for being okay on the left, is that you don't know, if they tell you that some person's bad, then you just go along with it. You don't, there's no thought process into it. But that's what's going on right now. It's like they want to protest everyone on the right. They don't want them to have a place to speak. They want purity, and then some of it goes on the right too. I'm not going to say that it doesn't, but it's not as bad as it is on the left. You have a bunch of people who have left the left because of the extremeness of what's going on there. Like I said, there's people on the right, but it's not as prevalent as it is on the left. So, anyways, I'm going to leave it there. No, actually, you know what? Hold up. No, like I said, that's my problem with the media. You know what? My problem with the media, like I always say, is the fact that they can't be honest. They're not honest about their bias. I don't care if you're biased. I know what your bias is. It's obvious. It's obvious by your coverage. We see it day in, day out. We see the stuff that you cover and the stuff you refuse to cover, or you omit coverage. Like what's going on with this guy, the Waukesha killer. That, he was spouted black supremacist stuff, ran over a bunch of white people, zero from the media. Just kind of like the black kid in Texas that shot up the school, and he's already out on bail, and there's no talk about that school shooting. But that's what goes, so it's like I said, it's the stuff that they omit and the stuff that they cover. You could tell they have an agenda. They act like they act like they don't, but they do. And that's what's destroying the country, because you got people who just buy whatever CNN tells them. And it could be outright, CNN could tell a huge lie, and they'll still believe everything CNN tells them, other than that one thing that they lied to them about. And you could try to point out to them other times when CNN lies, or other times when MSNBC lies, but they don't listen. They don't. But that's what's causing so much division, is if the media was just honest about their news coverage, as opposed to being partisan hacks. as a, or at least if they were partisan hacks, at least you own up to your bias. Like, I remember Don Lemon saying, oh, I'm not politically biased, I just, I see things through my prism. And it's like, yeah, so you're biased, just own up to it, stop trying to pretend that you're not. That's all someone like me asks, because I can't ask you to be fair with your news coverage, because you have a bias. You can't expect me to be fair with how I'm going to critique things, because I have my bias. But I try. I'll critique the right, but I'm more critique the left, because they've gone batshit crazy. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm the Right Rican. You can follow me here on YouTube and Rumble. If you're following one, please follow the other. You could interact with me on social media: Facebook, Gab, Twitter, Telegram, Clout Hub, all those social medias. All right. That being said, have a good one.